What's up, guys? This is an abridged session on what Team Play 101 looks like. I'm Bach. I'm going to introduce myself in a little bit, answer some questions, provide some frameworks, and just give you guys some direction. So before we get started, I'll tell you a little bit about me. So I'm old, very old. I'm 30, but I've been around in esports for quite a while now. I'm an anthropologist. I was previously a Cloud9 coach, and I was in charge of their coaching program. I would train and hire coaches for a variety of games. I really enjoy getting good at games, helping other people get good at games, and doing so efficiently, because I think there's not enough time in the day. And as I'm getting older, and I'm doing that one thing where people are like, back in my day, but holy shit, dude, I used to get off of school and play Black Ops 2 and Halo Reach like until 7 a.m. and then wake up at 5 p.m. and work my Subway job till close. And that was the life. I don't got that time anymore, and you guys won't either. So I want to hopefully help you find some ways to maximize your time and improve while you still got it. But yeah, let's hop into it. We're going to be covering a couple of domains today. All of them are important for competitive play. You might know some of this stuff already. If you do, that's great. Please chime in or give me your perspective. And if not, I'm hoping I can give you a little bit of insight. The first one is mentality and goals. So like I said, I like to teach a little bit with the class involved here. So like when I talk about mentality and goal setting in a competitive environment, like what does that mean to you? Broad question, I know.
So for mentality, for me, just kind of means the kind of energy that you want to bring, like the expectations that you set to yourself that you want to bring to the table, and also like how much you can, like your endurance between how much you can put up with like just practicing and also competing.
Okay, we have energy, expectations, and endurance. Does anybody want to add anything to that? And before you say anything, I swear to God, English is my first language, and I do know how to write. I'm left-handed, but I learned how to use a mouse with my right hand, so I can't write. It's the most annoying thing. But yeah, anyways. Sorry.
I'm gonna go with growth mindset on this one.
Holy shit, dude. Are you a fortune teller or what? Growth mindset. Love that. What does that mean? Or actually, maybe hold up. You hold that, and I'll ask you what that means here in a second.
Okay.
Anything else?
Goals is like a standard you want to achieve, at least day by day or long term.
Okay, so there's different types of goals. Goals types. Anything else? I think we're pretty good here, no? So we got a couple of things. Let's see why they matter. Oh my God, who would have guessed? So when we talk about mentality, we usually talk about mindset. And somebody here mentioned growth mindset. Who was it?
It was me.
Well, what is it? Like, what is a growth mindset?
For me, growth mindset is not getting upset like throughout the rounds and just constantly thinking about what I'm doing wrong and just trying to improve every round.
Okay. I'm not going to say you're wrong, but I think it goes a step deeper than that. So I'm going to challenge you. If you're working on not getting upset, you're working at trying to improve. What does this mean about your goals? Like, what are you here for?
To get better.
Okay, to get better, because we understand at a fundamental level that improvement is possible through effort, through hard work, and through other things. The skills that we have right now, they are not set in stone. Just because we lose or we win does not mean that is our predetermined level from now until the end of time. And because we have that understanding, that feeds into why we don't get upset and why we try to improve, because we understand that it's possible. And obviously, like, people are like, yeah, no shit, Bach, I know this. But you'd be really, really, really surprised. Every single person I talk to that gets upset in ranked, like, they get super pissed all the time, and they act like they have a fixed mindset. And for reference, like, a fixed mindset is, hey, like, I'm born with a certain amount of abilities. I'm not able to improve in any meaningful way. But I think we all know inherently that that's just false, right? You weren't born with your current vocabulary. You weren't born with the ability to walk or talk or do any of this shit. You had to learn it over time. And if you can do something that complicated, I'm pretty sure you can learn how to play Valorant a bit better. So just setting this baseline is also something I think is very important whenever you work with a team, because it's all fun and stuff to dry run strats and to do VOD reviews, or maybe you don't think that's fun, but that's all stuff that comes up here. Before you get up here, you have to set some foundations and understandings. It's the same thing with a house, right? You don't go in and build a roof first. You have to build a frame. And then once you've done all that, then you put the roof on, and then you do all that other house shit. I've never built a house. I've just seen it done. True? All right.
True.
So once again, just abilities and skills can be developed through dedication, effort, and learning, compared to a belief that abilities are fixed traits that cannot be improved. Pretty simple. Any questions so far? Okay, nice. So let's talk about mindset in a different context here. I want you guys to imagine you get invited to a hot date, right? Okay. It's a black tie event. I'm setting the stage here in your mind. Get excited. Black tie event. $200 entry fee. Oh my God, dude. Reputation for delicious world-class food. You have this, you have this image in your mind? Okay. Now, what would you do then if the waiter came out to your table and on the plate was just like, let's say, a juicy, extra large Big Mac meal?
That's not accurate at all.
I would be flabbergasted.
You'd be flabbergasted. Why? Why do you care about this?
Because I had already set an expectation to something that was so reputable and high standard.
But what do you mean, dude? Big Macs are good, right? Like, who doesn't like a Big Mac? Maybe you don't. Maybe this is the wrench here, but aren't Big Macs good?
my understanding is that Big Macs are not only easily accessible, but they are also like high in saturation, so they're just not as valuable.
Holy shit, you're bringing out the supply and demand curve in a lecture about mindset? Like, let's go, dude. What are they teaching you guys over there? This is a good institution. I like it. I like it. But no, you're right. So, like, it doesn't matter how good a Big Mac is. It matters that, all right, we went in here with these expectations. Maybe we put these expectations on ourselves. Maybe the reputation was just like us taking context clues. Like, oh shit, dude, I feel like this restaurant looks fancy, or like, oh man, dude, like the people in here are dressed really nice. But other things like maybe are fed in from external factors. Like, man, if I pay $200 to get in here and like the attire says I have to wear like my Sunday best, this is going to be high quality stuff. So the reason why this matters in esports is if you go into a team with people, unless you've played with each other before or have like prior relationships, you don't really know what to expect. And the problem here is that might be on the surface okay for a little while, but what happens then is you have everybody playing their own game, doing their own thing, and over time, the things that you had initially expected at the beginning, if they're not clearly communicated, can cause problems in the team. And this might be like, well, I guess we're going to talk about it later, so I'm not going to dive too far deep. This might look at what hard work looks like to one person might not be the same thing as what hard work looks like to someone else. If you're saying like, hey, we're all here to grind, we're all here to improve, we're all here to get better, and that looks like 10 solo queue games a week or 10 comp games a week for somebody, that might be a light day for some of you guys. I don't know how twisted you get with your grinding, right? But that doesn't necessarily mean one of you is wrong, but the expectation, if not clearly communicated, can be a problem. Okay. So I guess question time is like, why are you all playing in the first place? Like, what is your motivating factor? Maybe for each one of you, you can say something like, what are you gaining here? What do you want to gain here?
I would like to effectively work on a team at any level. But I think just in general, just like are we getting into like specifics? Like
yeah,
do I want to be like a really good IGL someday, like kind of deal? Or
I mean, that could be why. Like, you want to improve at a certain skill and go pro. Is that like what you're getting at, or do you just want to have fun playing on a team and develop a skill, or like, yeah?
Oh
like,
no, yeah, go pro is kind of like a goal, I think.
Okay, go pro.
Yeah.
I just love competing, so that's mine.
Loves competing in any format, like in everything in life, or specifically Valorant, or
I competed in Counter-Strike and then Valorant as well, and we have a Valorant team, so I love competing in Valorant.
You could put that one on mine too. I love competing.
Okay, I mean, yeah, that's fair. I know you're all pretty high ranked players, right? You're all like Ascendant through Immortal. I don't think we have any Radiants here, do we? Who else? What we got here?
I mean, if it matters for coaching instead of playing, doing what I like, doing what I love, or getting paid to do what I love.
But like, why do you love it?
Win a ring.
It's passionate.
Win. But like, why are you passionate? You like, I don't just wake up, I'm passionate about socks.
You get a rush when
so like the dopamine hit. I guess like you're just chasing it high. Okay. Dopamine.
Feeling of accomplishment.
Yeah, validation, accomplishment is important, right? Jesus,
I have a two-part answer.
Okay.
When I first started playing, it was because I was sad and just buried my emotions, and then I hit Radiant. But now I just enjoy the game and enjoy competing.
Okay, but why do you enjoy competing? Like, why?
I think I'm addicted to improvement.
Growth mindset is the word you're looking for.
Holy. I like that.
That's a very good one,
like
Mr.
that.
Cultist.
So culty, so culty.
Oh, okay. I guess what's it called? I'd say, well, this doesn't really apply, but like develop the collegiate scene or set a new standard for the collegiate scene.
Ooh, I like that.
I don't, because you can still go one level deeper. And what I mean by this is like at the core, why does developing the collegiate scene, like, why do you even care about it? And it's because there's some other underlying factor that you care about more, whether that's you enjoy helping people because it makes it feel like you're like affecting the next generation positively, or you want to make a name for yourself and get recognition, or like there's other things.
It's probably more the second one if I'm being truthful.
Okay.
It's for the money.
For the money. Hey, bro.
I have a long one, so it's like,
lay it on me.
So school's not a strong suit. I'm not like too good at keeping my grades up, but I do like playing video games a lot. And if by going through video games and competing at a college means I can pay off my tuition and then still get a degree out of it, it means that I have an incentive and a fun way to achieve it.
I can speak to that personally, because not to get too deep in the feelings, I'm not Drake right now, but
Right.
you know, I basically almost failed high school because I wasn't a dumb kid at all. I was just so not motivated to do this boring ass work, and then I didn't know what I wanted to do in college. So I kind of forced myself until I finally found out what I wanted to do. But the whole time I was working on like, how do I get better at coaching? How do I get better at video games so I could try and do something with it? And I was able to work my way up from just like a nobody, no name coach to working like internationally with like top level teams. And it is a path forward. It's not a fun path forward sometimes, and it's a lot of work. I did so much free work, man, so much free work. But yeah, it's possible, and it's a great motivator. Okay. I mean, this is great because maybe you all did know this about each other and like what motivates each one of you, but saying it out loud, maybe we can find like some commonalities here, or maybe see like, hey, I'm glad no one says here, like, I don't really care. I'm just here because I'm bored. Really glad no one said that. So at least from the ground zero, we all seem to be at a similar starting point, which is very important. What do we do from here? How do you set yourself up for success? Well, you would kind of do something like what we did just now. You discuss as a team, you all have your individual values and goals and desires. You share them with the people around you. And then after you do that, you check alignment. With these values, like where is there agreement? It looks like agreement's pretty much across the board, but where there isn't, you discuss. And this is the important thing. And honestly, something that esports has helped me with my in-person or at my job relationships as well, is just communication. Not falling into the trap of, well, I'm not an asshole, I'm just being honest. Like, that's not communication. Communication is like genuinely looking for the other person's feelings and trying to understand their perspective, even if you don't agree with it. The first step should be understanding, and from there you can, you know, speak your own truth, speak your own feelings, and then find some compromise. And this calls back to that example I said earlier where like we talked about like what commitment looks like to somebody might not be the same thing of what it looks like to someone else. And if you can sort out that at the beginning or get it out in the open, well, now you can talk about it as a team and say, hey, like, listen, I feel like you're not trying hard enough or you're not putting in the hours. And the other person could be like, well, hey, like, look, listen, I am dedicated. Here are the ways I'm dedicated. Like, this is like what I can do with my time and my situation. And you can actually have like an actual dialogue about it and not have it be a problem later down the line. And then once you have all these things aligned as best as possible, this is going to define your goal as a team. This is like, okay, as a team, we are going to look to practice X days a week in pursuit of whatever sort of like grand goal. Maybe it's like win your split, win your tournament, promote to VCT or whatever shit there is in the Valorant system nowadays. I actually don't know. Can you promote? Is it VCT Challengers? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
I know a couple of teams. My buddy coached Winthrop. I think they got
Oh
knocked
yeah,
out.
yeah, they're good.
Yeah, and from there, break it down. So if you have your overall goal and what it looks like, now every practice and every review needs to be moving you towards that goal. So this means if you have time to practice or time to play, you're not spamming 15 games of Yoru if your comp doesn't have any Yoru in it. Well, you're not coming up with cheese strats that are fun that you saw on, I mean, Grim Walls used to be a thing, dude, back in my day. I don't know if Grim is even a content creator.
Kind of
anymore.
are, yeah.
Yeah, but like,
Yeah,
people,
he
like,
is. He's a menace.
yeah, dude, but people would do that shit all the time, right? And like, it's like, okay, well, if our goal is to have fun as a group of friends, then yeah, like, let's practice that stuff. But if it's not, then anything that doesn't align with your team's goal needs to go out the door. And then actually just do it. Obviously, this is the easy part. I want to stop and ask questions right now. Does anybody have anything they want to add? Anything you want me to add more clarity on? Or
Like, so breaking it down is just isolating the stuff that is irrelevant to our team goal.
if your big goal, your big overall team goal is here, like what are the smaller components that go into that? Like if I have a team goal, then what sort of practice regimen do I need for that team goal? Like what type of individual improvement do we need? Do we need to do this, like these strats, like out of game stuff? I know you guys do some physical fitness or mental tracking or sleep tracking stuff. Like all of this plays into that big team goal, break it down into its components from there and make it an actually attainable goal instead of just something, gee, Willikers, I want to win sub day. Well, do something about it then. Yeah, break it down, dude. Break it down. Anything else? Okay, so when I say variance and mechanics, like what does this mean? What is variance?
Your ability to understand and adapt to variables in the game.
Yeah, it's something to do with variables. If I say something is high variance, what does that mean?
Inconsistent.
Okay. And low variance then would be just
Consistency.
more consistent. Consistency, right? Okay, very good, very good. Okay, and we'll cover mechanics in a bit. So for the sake of this conversation, variance has to do with consistency. Why is consistency important?
It can be reliable and kind of like set in stone. So like it's like the one thing that you can like safely do, kind of like comfortable.
Okay, okay. What would make something reliable and consistent though?
In terms of like team or like the game.
In general,
It makes
like,
it easier for your teammates to rely on you and to play around you if you play the same way every time.
yeah, okay.
I think consistency, like The best thing about consistency is it brings your lowers away from like like if you're very consistent, your bottom end isn't as low. So like when you're having off days, your off days aren't as bad.
Yeah. Okay. We talk about raising our floor. That's pretty important too.
Keeping our standard.
Yeah. Your standard. I like that. I like that. So like whenever, like, let's say you're in a lab and you get a hypothesis, right? Like the most important part of testing your hypothesis is you need to be able to replicate it, right?
Yeah.
So if you're just doing random shit and throwing it against the wall, you're never actually going to be able to test whether your hypothesis is correct. So how are you going to get valuable data from this? The same thing is true in esports. The same thing is true in basically every single esport. And this doesn't mean you have to be a textbook team that does the same execute every single game. But if you have a set way that you do your executes for, maybe you have like 5 or 10, whatever, but you have a very clear understanding of what those are, you can test those, and from there you get reliable data. So I use the example here of Variance Explained. We kind of already went into it, like coin flip versus slots. Coin flips are by nature 50-50, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Whereas slots, probably 1 in a lot chances of winning. Maybe this is like a downside, huh? I guess the upside is 50-50, and the downside is 1 in blah, blah, blah. But like, what's the downside of the return on a coin flip?
It's equally as inconsistent as it is consistent.
Sure. But I would also say is, I think somebody said this is like before, your highs aren't as high, but your lows aren't as low, right?
The risk versus reward is not like very different.
Yeah.
There's also only 2 outcomes.
Basically, yeah. There's basically 2 outcomes, and the risk versus reward. I would compare this to anybody who invests here. If you put something in like the S&P 500, right? It's not going to be sexy, but it's going to slowly track up over time, and by the time you're 60, you will reliably have a lot of money if you invest now. Meanwhile, slots, okay, well, shit, dude, I have like a 1 in 5 quadrillion chance of winning, but if you do win,
it's a big win.
Hell yeah, baby. Cashing out.
We're going big tonight.
And this is where all the TikTok and Twitter highlight clips come from, by the way, right here. And they feel good, but what they don't show you is the dark, twisted truth of every single time that they get a clip, it goes on Twitter, and all the 800 trillion times they grief winnable rounds by taking, like 3v1s when they don't need to, and then they throw the round, and then the game is lost. So I'm going to preface this. I know Woohoojin got caught getting boosted, by the way, to Radiant. It doesn't change the fact that what he says in the first, 1 minute of this video is like the most true shit you will ever hear in your entire life, and you can apply this to every game that you want. But I always explain why minimizing variance is important. This is something that's also easier to do in Valorant because you guys compartmentalize the games naturally by having rounds. In League of Legends, I actually teach League of Legends through the lens of Valorant or CSGO, where I split the game up into rounds, and it is really hard for some players to intuitively get. But I really like this idea of taking fights where the highest probability of success, and you do that through a number of ways, right? Like one is the obvious one is numbers advantage, right? You guys know all about this. It's like basic shit. Complicated for League of Legends players, dude. I don't know. They did a study recently that showed League of Legends players have like some of the highest IQ out of like gamers, and I was like, this has to be fake data. But the point being illustrated here is if you take a fight that's 60-40, 36% of the time you'll come away with a clean 2-0. The rest of the time, you will either come away neutral or down with a 60-40 split. And a lot of players would normally feel comfortable with 60-40 splits. So I always preach the idea, if your idea is 60-40, before you even account for any extra variables like in-game stress or tilt, it's probably not good enough. And we need to reworkshop that from there. This is something I think every player needs to internalize at a core fundamental level and say, hey, listen, it's a 1v1 or it's a 2v1. It might feel really good if I take this, if I challenge this angle right now. Don't. I need you to not do this because this is not your time. You have a role to play. You will make mistakes. You are a human being. You will whiff abilities. You will miss your shot sometimes. It will happen. Don't play like a little pussy, but understand that the highest chance of you succeeding in anything is, well, shit, dude, if I swing with my teammate, I'm going to win. Cool. And we're just going to watch this really quick.
How can this round be unlosable? When you're in these scenarios, I want you to be very boring. And there's no reason to leave anything on the table when you are in a round like this, 3-on-1 post plant. Because let's just pretend that you currently convert it 95% of the time. And I convert it 99. Nothing's 100 in this game. We're not going to say anything's 100. I think that's ambitious. You play 20 Ascent games. I play 20 Ascent games. We get into this post plant scenario twice per game, happens 40 times. You would lose this round 2 times. So I would lose it 0.4 times. Otherwise known as I would lose it 0 times on average, but sometimes 1. This matters.
That's me look.
basic shit, but I think really important, and people forget this sometimes. So it's really important. And the importance of mechanics here is all mechanics do is take a play that would be like 70-30 and make it like 75-25. If you're playing against players that are equal rank, if you have better aim than them, you will just convert higher than them. But it's not what's going to win you the game as you start playing against teams at your skill level or above your skill level. And I think this is like a shortcoming a lot of teams have, is if they rely on mechanics too hard, they will come into a match feeling that they can rely solely on those mechanics, forgetting the importance of taking low variance games. And then what happens is they're going to lose gunfights, they're going to lose maps, they're going to maybe even lose the match, and then their entire world is going to crumble. Like you'll lose to teams that you were not expecting to lose to because you're not playing good fundamental Valorant. You were playing based off of emotion, you were playing based off of thinking you were better than them mechanically. And mechanics, all it does is that little buffer or that bump that makes your gameplay a little bit better. Just a cautionary tale. Hope it doesn't happen to you guys. All right, we're almost done actually.
I love this section. What's that saying that I say to you sometimes? Remember the saying that I say sometimes to you guys?
Tempo 0?
No, like more up,
Highest.
more up advantage.
Don't play with emotion.
Highest.
Oh,
What's the
highest win
saying?
con.
Highest win con. Yeah.
Highest win percentage.
Yep. This is exactly what I'm talking about.
I feel like I said, Valorant players just innately are better with this, but when you're in the heat of the moment in Valorant, dude, I heard this, like, it's like called overheating, right? Where you just, you feeling good, and then you chow and die, and then the round's all of a sudden losable now. And then you do the, guys, I'm good for 4, and you couldn't even kill this last guy? Meanwhile, you're like not covering your angle, or you're pushing, and you die and give them an op, and then make it like, okay, dude, sick. All right, part 3, I think, is the most important part, and it's communication. When we talk about in-game comms, there's a lot of different categories for in-game comms, and for the sake of time, we're not going to go through these super in-depth, but usually we want to assign some sort of quality to each one of these in terms of whether they're positive, negative, or neutral. Just really quickly, what would an observation be in the game? What kind of quality would it be? Would it be good, bad, or neutral?
Oh,
Good.
Oh, neutral.
Well, dude, don't change your answer just based on somebody else. So we had some goods and some bads. So here, and then squiggly line.
I think they are bad because I feel like they should be more specific, and I feel like the word observation leaves it to be very general.
Okay, like what if I got really specific? Like, all right, Sova dirted B from back gen.
Okay, that's good.
So if I were to take that out then and get really specific with my observations, would that still be a negative for you?
No, because
Okay.
then you've eliminated like the question of like from where, or like all the like the further steps of where it came from and stuff like that.
Okay, so sufficient observations. All right, what about suggestions?
Okay, that is a big thing.
He's gonna
It,
say
it can
no.
either be very good or very bad.
Ah, why?
Because if people are like just making suggestions whenever you're trying to do something else, it can be very counterproductive.
So I would call that neutral then, right? Because it could be, or sorry, maybe not neutral, like dependent.
It's very dependent.
Yeah, I think I would agree, and that's kind of the whole point on what I'm going to get at here in a second. And then finally, we're not going to look at too many of these other ones, but commands.
Neutral, because they're also very
Yeah.
dependable. Telling someone to just go and run through it can sometimes be what literally just ends the round immediately.
It could be
Versus-
if there's previous information provided on like.
Yeah, I feel like
for
the
example,
only
like something's being conditioned, and then we do a command based off of those conditions, then it could be good.
I feel like if with a command, if you are like, okay, well, we have too many open open ends, like where people are just each have a different plan and we're not on the same page, someone commanding it just decides it all, and then you can formulate a plan off of that. And I think
Okay.
that's good because someone takes direction with it.
I like how you guys are always seeing the positive angle. So I think the most important takeaway, right, is you can't just have one of these. You need a combination of them, and that typically looks like a basic communication structure in a team where you have somebody like an IGL at the top. Do you guys have one IGL, two IGLs, red IGL, blue IGL? What do you got?
All the cooks are in the kitchen, pretty much.
Okay,
We got 5 cooks.
so we got a couple. Like,
Or
everyone
PRXing
wants to
it
be the
out.
leader. Everyone.
We've
wants
got
to be
three or
the
four
leader.
cooks. We've got like 3 or 4 cooks.
Not that everyone wants to. We don't have one dedicated.
Yeah, give me chef role, but I'm like the chef is like still new to this job. Wait, I have an accurate description. I like taking IGL's role, but I don't do it often. Doesn't like taking IGL role, but he also does it often. And then who'd
Why?
you say the third one was?
I think
And then Cultist.
that guy that plays smokes.
The cult
Cultist,
that
Cultist doesn't like it and doesn't do it often, but he'll take the spot if
We just
neither of
butchered
them
this
do
entire
it.
segment.
No, it's fine. No, this is important stuff. But
The
I want to
scene
know.
one-
I want to know why. If we have somebody who likes doing it or who maybe is good at it, but they don't do it, why?
Okay,
the
so
C
wait,
one-
he's asking me, so
No. I'm gonna say something really quick. The
Okay, go
C
ahead.
guy and me have experience in teams in the past, and so we know like sometimes when things need to be said, and so we pick it up.
I have not, do not have experience, but I do like communicating because I can rely on my ability to gather information to formulate a plan on it.
I think IGLing requires like a special personality, and I just think plenty of people can do it, but not a lot of people want to do it. Is a problem.
I like
Okay.
doing it.
Then, so A wants to do it, likes to do it, but lacks the experience. C and J maybe don't like it, but have the experience.
I've done it in the past in Counter-Strike,
Yeah.
but I don't have enough experience in Valorant specifically for me to be comfortable doing it.
Okay. Now, you might have what's known as the Bach problem. And I'm Bach, by the way. But the Bach
That's
problem
gonna be you.
is... Yeah, it's going to be met. It's going to be met. The Bach problem here is you might have an idea of what is a good play, but you're not sure yet. And the idea is based on prior experiences on games that are not this game. And the best way to find out is to just fucking do it. Because Bach also suffers from what I like to call little bitch syndrome, where you sit
I definitely got a little bitch syndrome.
where you sit there and then you get this like nagging voice in the back of your mind. Say something, say something, say something. It's like, oh, but what if I'm wrong? But what if I'm an idiot and I lose the team the round? And at the end of the day, it's like, okay, coming back to that hypothesis. If I have an idea and then I don't say or speak on it, how will I ever know if my idea was good or not? So then I'm just stuck in that same loop over and over and over again. But at the same time, if you've resigned yourself to the fact that, hey, you know what? I don't know that much about Valorant, and I have someone else who wants to shot call and who maybe even likes doing it, I can use my experience to help them get better at shot calling, and then I can just shut the fuck up in game or provide those observations and suggestions. I'm not saying there's one solution. Like, this is something you guys got to work out as a team, but I don't see it necessarily a problem here. It's just something every team needs to work through. We talked about what are important things, like how do you IGL? I break it down into 3 categories. You keep it simple. And what I mean by simple is like, what are the core components of the plan? Like, we don't need to reinvent the wheel. We don't need to come up with like the next strat that's going to be on YouTube. Take the simple plays that we've drilled a million times before in prac, and like a lot of teams have shorthand for this. I don't know like what your strat book looks like. We used to come up with strat books, and they always had really dumb names. So keep it simple, cool, straightforward. Leave no room for misinterpretation. I don't need to hear your life story in every single buy phrase. Like, all right, so if I need you to push up here 14 feet, and then at 40 seconds into the round, can you shoot your dart here? And then when you do that Phoenix, like, shut up. You guys already know how to do the fucking play. You've practiced this before. Execute on the fucking play. And if you don't know how to execute the play, that means you didn't drill it enough, or the IGL isn't being straightforward enough. It's okay to ask for a little clarification, but when you're in the buy phrase for the round, you need to not be dictating every single person like what their job is at every single moment in the round. That's like a job for practice. That's a job for warm up. That's a job for prep before the match. Something that also helps a lot, maybe in Valorant, because there's clearly defined roles, it's easier, but it's you start off with like person's name or person's role, then important information that you need from them, and then clarification / affirmation. And what this might look like is raise, push mid with me, okay? And then Raze would complete the cycle here by affirming like yes or I can't if like they don't have the conditions to do so. Totally fine. And this is all pretty self-explanatory, but this takes all the misinterpretation out of it. If you just say, hey, push mid with me, and you're with 2 people, well, how do you know? Like, do you want everyone to push mid with you? Do you want a specific person to push mid with you? Do you need them to use util when they push mid with you? And then finally, like every time you're in the kitchen, you're like, hey, I need 2 orders of fries in the bag. You say, yes, sir. Put the fries in the bag. That's something you guys do a lot, right? You guys know that meme? Put the fries in the bag?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I do.
I was like, oh shit, dude, am I getting too old? I am getting too old. But and then finally, stupid. Like, keep it as dumb as possible. Everyone should know what their role is, and if you don't, speak up. Say something. If we lay out the straightforward plan, we're gonna hit, and then you're like, oh shit, dude, like, what is my role again? Then you would say, hey, like, do we need smokes here? Or do I need a wall immediately? And then you can say yes or no, clear it up immediately, and go on. So as an IGL, this is your job. But this job is made significantly easier and or harder by the members of the rest of the team. So when we talk about information, pushing helpful comms, these are your observations, your insights, your intentions, and the quality of the information you're pushing. For your IGL to do their job well, the rest of the players need to feed them quality information. And quality information, high important stuff. This is You know, opponent conditions. We call like conditions is something in League of Legends. Like if we have good conditions, that means we have mana, ultimate abilities, summoner spells, we have gold. In Valorant, it probably is the same thing. If the enemy's lit, if they used a lot of their util, if they are caught mid-rotate, they have bad conditions. All econ as well would be situational, right? Because if you're calming econ in the middle of the round, well, there's more important things to be calmed. Probably not important. Probably shut up. How much HP you have, also situational. If the shot caller is trying to, or IGL is trying to calm like what site we're hitting on, now is not the time to interrupt him to say how much HP you have. Shut up. Night market, who cares, dude? My night market always sucks. I don't know about you guys, but
No, that's true.
it always sucks. And then obviously this shit, knock it off. Crime, knock it off. Complaining, knock it off. All this makes sense so far? So far, so good?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Oh, I like that, dude. Holy cow. Yes, sir.
He's a military man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The #1 rule of competitive esports success, what is it?
Have
Anybody
fun.
take a guess? Have fun? Hell no, dude. What? We're here to win. I thought we talked about
Winning.
this
Fuck up,
already.
our man.
Victory.
Okay.
Defeating our enemies.
It's you need to fuck up. You need to. It is necessary. Something that I think is really important for every single team to understand day one is you are here to make mistakes. If you were not going to make mistakes, you should probably be on the stage of VCT America's right now grand finals winning it. You will fuck up. If you have something that you want to try or you have an idea, you need to test it. Otherwise, you will never learn if you are wrong or if you're right. And from there, you can start building the good habits and understanding, okay, I tested it. It worked. Okay, let's test another idea or let's try it in a different circumstance. Did it work or not work? Okay, now I have more data to go from, and now you can start learning or growing as a team. I feel like you all have a really strong foundation. You communicate well. You're not afraid of sharing your ideas. You have decent skill at the game. I think based on my conversation with you all, you have to figure out this IGL shit. And it can be whatever situation you need that works for you, but that's probably like what I would recommend as an outsider without knowing your exact story. And as an IGL, whoever ends up doing it, you have to understand that when you make a call, you will be wrong sometimes and you will lose your team the round, and that's okay. It's just going to happen. But then also when things go successfully, you also get credit for that. It's a double-edged sword. I also IGL in League of Legends, by the way. It does take a different personality type, but I really enjoy it. How are you guys feeling? Is there any questions or comments?
I have one question that's not related.
Yeah.
If you're to give 3, I guess it could be components or mechanics or quality that a team has against another team, like what would you say, like if we have these 3 things, we would win like every single match?
Oh, you're
Like,
never
that
going to
could be,
win every
like-
single match. Dude.
Or like, you know, like I'm not gonna say mechanics, but like better, like 3 most important, like if it's like best comms, best like mindset, or we don't tilt as much, we don't make as many mistakes or something like that.
Yeah, okay, here, let me try and formulate this as best as possible. I think like the #1 most important thing is going to be accountability. When I say accountability, I don't mean like you fall on the sword for every single thing, but when you make a mistake, you own it. And this is important for 2 ways. One, you will now actually acknowledge when you fuck up so you can see, hey, I did something wrong, and you can learn from that. But the second part actually has to do with team mental. And the important part is oh, dude, that was a nice one. That was a good one.
Sorry.
No, you're chilling. That was a good one, bro.
Thanks.
But team mental is super important. Like if I just saw my duelist, he was supposed to go out there, like dash in and train me. He didn't do anything. Like he dashed out, didn't say a word, died, and then just muted the rest of the round. Like I'm gonna be much more pissed than he said, ah shit, dude. My bad, guys. I should have said something. Like just taking accountability will help team mental significantly, and it's a super small thing you can do. #2 is obviously communication. I did harp on this pretty heavily, but a team who communicates, it's always better to communicate a bit too much and have to clean up comms than not have enough information at all, and then you're kind of left scrambling. And then I think #3 is some sort of mental resilience. And I'm a big personal believer that emotional skill or emotional control is a skill you can develop just like any other skill in the game. It's something that I've worked on a lot. I used to be a big tilter and a big flamer. I kind of got benched from my collegiate team like 10 years ago for being too toxic. And I had to learn, or I had to reprioritize, like, okay, why am I actually here? Like, why am I getting so fucking angry that I'm getting benched from a college team that's not even like a pro level team? And I was like letting it get too personal. So I had to rethink, why am I here? What do I care so much about? And it turned out that what I cared about a lot was learning and getting better. And from that point on, like it didn't happen instantly, I started enjoying getting shit on because I'm like, holy shit, dude. Like I played into like so many professional League of Legends players in my time. And like every time I did, it's like, man, I'm going to lose, but holy shit, I can watch this over and get so much back from this. If you can do this as a team, then you will stop seeing losses as a negative and seeing losses as opportunities to gain new information about weaknesses. Because if you are worse than a team, you're going to lose to them no matter what. So you can hope that you can gain something from those losses. So if you play against another team of equal skill in the future, you'll now have a better idea of how not to lose or how to get better. So those are like the three main things that I would recommend for any team.
Thank you.
I have one question.
Yeah.
How important do you think sleep is?
On its own, depending on the person, I think if you're somebody who is only sleeping like 4 to 5 to 6 hours a night, that's not enough, even if you say it is. I would say if you're getting like 7 hours plus, you're chill. There's a combination, I think, that's pretty heavy between like sleep, nutrition, and any sort of physical exercise. So sleep, I'd say like 7+ hours. That you're chilling. Nutrition, don't eat only lunchly and you're good, you know? More than just lunchly. You don't need to go to Whole Foods every day, but just make sure you're not just stuffing your face of sugar and fats all day. And then physical maintenance or lifestyle, this is, did I get out of my chair at all today? You don't have to be running a half marathon or whatever.
A full marathon. Come put some credit there, Bach.
Oh, is it a full shit? It's a full
It's a
marathon.
Can you
I'm on the
explain
Couch to
what
5K
Lunchly is?
program.
Can you explain what Lunchly is? Okay, so Lunchly is this epic new collab between Mr. Beast and KSI.
Not a
Dude,
shout out.
And Logan Paul.
No,
and
no
Logan
free.
Paul, and Logan Paul. Yeah, the important thing is I always advocate, hey, dude, just take a 5-minute walk or do like a couple of push-ups. If you do nothing, then just do a little bit more. And this is something that's helped me with my mental health personally. When I just sit in front of a screen all day, it's like, no, I don't need to do this. I'll be okay. But then I'll start doing a little bit. Just go outside for a couple of minutes, and it's the touch grass meme is real, dude.
Okay, as a coach, give our coaches your best advice from your years of coaching.
I'm a big proponent of setting expectations day one. I'm not your friend as a coach, and you should not be your players' friends. You are here as a role model and a mentor, and you are here to help guide players and bring them together as a team. A lot of esports players haven't played traditional sports before, and that's okay. But a coach needs to be that unifying factor. So don't be afraid to set clear boundaries and say, hey, listen, I always tell players day one, you are allowed to question my judgment, but I don't feel like it, or I don't feel like what you said is correct is not a legit excuse. You need to shut up and rethink what you're saying here. If you can come with an idea of your own and actually be able to substantiate it, any idea is welcome. Like, let's discuss it and like, let's grow from it. Because as a coach, I am also here to learn. I'm not right 100% of the time, but I am here to lead. So like, there just needs to be that respect to the coach and obviously that respect to the players, because we're all here for the same goal. I think that's a big takeaway for a lot of coaches.
It's a good one.
Thank you. That was really good advice. I have one question.
I was gonna ask, like, how could I like make connections like in the like scene?
What elo are you at right now, or what rank rating?
Immortal 1.
Yeah, okay. See, that's really tough because you're
Get to
almost...
Radiant and come back.
Yeah, no, like I don't want to give that cop-out answer, but you do need to hit like a minimum rank threshold to even be in the same lobbies as a lot of these higher level players. And if you want to just dick ride them on Twitter, then that's like, I guess, something you could do, but then you look like a groupie. The best advice that I can possibly do is whenever I'm scouting players for a professional team or anything like that, I look for players who are like, 1, consistent, 2, they can have hands, that's okay, but I also look for mentally stable players, and then people who I would genuinely enjoy being in a room with and not hating myself. So be good at the game. What is it? No valleys and peaks. Just be consistently, even if you're just like above average consistently. You don't have to be amazing. That's a plus. If you don't tilt off the face of the planet and flame all the time, that's also a plus. And you're just like a genuine like human being, that's another plus. But the first step is you have to get to that rank, and you will be in lobbies with these players, and you would not believe or imagine how many people in the league scene at least will refuse to play on a team with you because they had a bad experience with you in solo queue. It happens so often. So just, yeah, treat everyone like a human. I can't speak too much to Valorant because, like I said, League of Legends is my thing. There's a lot of in-house discords at the higher level for League of Legends. I would poke around the scene, maybe ask some people that play at the higher levels. Like, I don't know if you guys know anybody at Winthrop or anybody at these other schools that are better. Like, hey, I'm really interested. Is there any in-house servers that like I could like trial or get invited to or get interviewed for? That'd be a good place to start.
Bach, I appreciate that. From my experience, it's the same thing.
Good luck in your practice, and honestly, good luck as a team. And yeah, nice to meet you all.
It's good to meet you
Thank
too.
you.
Thank you for
Thank
coming
you,
by.
Bach. I subbed.